At my son's birthday party, my granddaughter clutched my arm in panic. "Grandma, we need to leave. Now." I froze, startled. "Why?" I asked. "Just go, please," she begged, her voice trembling. I chose to trust her, and that decision saved me from a terrible act my own son had planned. You would not believe what he was about to do. "Mom, I need you to listen to me this time without jumping to conclusions." Trevor burst through my front door mid-sentence, not even bothering to knock. His confidence felt rehearsed, as if he'd practiced every word in the car outside. I slipped off my reading glasses slowly, folded the evening newspaper, and set it aside. The old wooden rocker creaked as I straightened. "Evening to you too, son." My voice carried the weight of 70 years and decades of dealing with people who promise the impossible. What's so urgent it couldn't wait for a proper greeting? He paced toward my bookshelf, then spun back, hands gesturing wildly. "This is it, Mom. The opportunity I've been waiting for. A real estate syndicate with guaranteed returns." I rose, moving toward my filing cabinet with deliberate steps. Trevor's eyes tracked me nervously as I retrieved a manila folder marked Trevor Investments 2019 to 2025. "Guaranteed, you say?" I spread the documents across my coffee table. 15% returns, perhaps 20? "Mom, this is different." "Like the Miami condos were different?" I pulled out a receipt. $75,000, gone in 3 months, when your guaranteed rental income turned into a foreclosure notice. Trevor's jaw tightened. His confident posture crumbled as he recognized the papers. Bank statements, contracts, canceled checks, each one a record of his spectacular failures. "You never trust me," his voice rose, echoing off the hardwood floors. "Every time I try to build something, you sabotage it with your negativity." I opened another folder. The cryptocurrency mining equipment that never arrived, $50,000 sent to a scammer you met online. That was different. I continued shuffling papers. The food truck business with a convicted felon as your partner. $30,000 in startup costs, gone in exactly 93 days. Trevor's face flushed red. He snatched his jacket from where he'd thrown it on my couch, his movements sharp and angry. "You're impossible. This syndicate has real properties, real investors, real returns. Show me the documentation." "I don't have it with me." "Then you don't have my money." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Outside, evening shadows crept across my lawn. A neighbor's dog barked somewhere down Maple Street. Trevor's shoulders sagged for a moment, then stiffened again. "Fine. When this deal makes millions without you, don't come crawling back asking for your cut." He stormed toward the door, his footsteps pounding heavy against my oak floors. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Through the glass, I watched him fumble with his car keys. His earlier confidence completely evaporated. The engine roared to life with unnecessary force. Gravel scattered as he backed out of my driveway too fast, tires squealing slightly. Red taillights burned like anger in the gathering dusk as his car disappeared around the corner. I remained standing by the window, staring at the empty street long after the sound of his engine had faded. The last red glow of taillights vanished around Maple Street's corner. I stepped back from the window, my reflection ghost-like in the darkening glass. The house felt hollow now, haunted by echoes of raised voices and slammed doors. I moved toward the kitchen, my feet tracing their familiar path across the creaking floorboards. The coffee ritual helped, grinding beans, measuring water, the steady drip filling the evening silence. 40 years of marriage had taught me that some conversations demanded coffee afterward, even when conducted alone. Steam rose from my mug as I carried it into my study. The filing cabinet drawer slid open with a metallic whisper. Manila folders emerged in chronological order, each one a lesson Trevor refused to learn. Miami came first. The real estate prospectus had looked legitimate enough. Glossy brochures showcasing pristine condominiums overlooking Biscayne Bay. Trevor had been 34 then, still filled with optimism about quick fortunes. The developer vanished with the investor's money before a single foundation was laid. $75,000. Gone. I spread the cryptocurrency documents across my desk. Mining equipment that had existed only in online advertisements. Trevor had once shown me YouTube videos of supposed mining farms, convinced he'd discovered the future of wealth. The scammer's website looked professional until it vanished overnight, taking 50,000 more with it. The food truck partnership came next. Trevor's business plan had actually impressed me at first. Locally sourced ingredients, a prime downtown location near the courthouse. But then I discovered his partner's criminal history, embezzlement. The man had stolen from his previous employer. Trevor, however, dismissed my concerns as nothing more than paranoia. 3 months later, the partner vanished, along with the equipment and the remaining startup funds. The coffee in my mug grew cold as I reviewed bank statements documenting casino bailouts, Foxwoods, Mohegan Sun, occasional trips to Atlantic City with Meredith. Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there. But the requests only grew after his marriage. Just until my next commission check became his standard plea. Each folder told the same story, Trevor's eternal optimism colliding with harsh reality. But tonight felt different. His anger had been sharper, more desperate. The way he avoided eye contact when describing his syndicate, the vague answers about documentation, none of it felt right. Classic signs I'd learned to recognize from decades of dealing with smooth-talking subcontractors. My thoughts turned to Meredith's influence. Before their marriage, Trevor's schemes had been smaller, less frequent. But she fueled his grandiose thinking, urging him toward bigger and riskier ventures. Her expensive tastes demanded expensive solutions. The family photo on my desk showed happier times, Trevor at 18, accepting his high school diploma. Pride had shone in his eyes then, a genuine accomplishment earned through effort. When had that changed? When had he begun to believe that success should come without struggle? My father had built our family's livelihood with calloused hands and 16-hour days. I had learned by carrying tools, mixing concrete, understanding materials from the ground up. Trevor wanted boardroom success without ever enduring basement experience. The study lamp cast a warm glow across the financial wreckage of 6 years, nearly $200,000 lost to schemes, scams, and reckless judgment. Each time, I had hoped it would be his turning point, his moment to finally learn. Each time, he convinced me the next opportunity would be different. But enabling wasn't helping. Every rescue only delayed his reckoning with reality. I gathered the papers methodically, returning each folder to its proper place. The filing cabinet closed with a final, echoing thud. Outside my window, the streetlights flickered on automatically, casting their glow across empty sidewalks. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight's decision felt right. Sometimes the greatest kindness was saying no. I turned off the desk lamp and headed upstairs, leaving the study in darkness. By morning, sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as I folded my grocery list neatly into my wallet. The confrontation with Trevor felt like a distant storm now, necessary but finished. Coffee had cleared my head. A shower had washed away yesterday's tension. And today offered the simple comfort of routine tasks. I grabbed my reusable shopping bags from the pantry hook, checked that my car keys were in my pocket, and headed for the front door. The morning air carried the scent of Mrs. Henderson's lilacs blooming next door. It was perfect spring weather for errands, but my stride faltered halfway down the brick walkway. Something was wrong with my Honda. The car sat lower than normal, tilted at an odd angle like a wounded animal. All 4 tires were completely flat, the vehicle sagging almost onto its rims. My stomach dropped as I approached the silver sedan. This wasn't gradual deflation from age or weather. Each tire bore identical puncture marks near the sidewall, small, precise holes that could only have been made deliberately. I knelt beside the front passenger tire, running my finger along the rubber until it caught on a metallic object protruding from the puncture. A roofing nail, the same type I kept in my workshop for emergency repairs. Circling the vehicle, I found the same pattern repeated on each wheel. 4 nails, 4 tires, 4 deliberate acts of vandalism carried out sometime between midnight and dawn. The timeline crystallized in my mind. Last night's argument, Trevor's explosive anger, his threat about me not coming crawling back when his deal succeeded, and now this. Professional sabotage delivered under the cover of darkness. I pulled out my phone and dialed Trevor's number. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice thick with sleep. "Mom, what's wrong?" "It's barely 9 o'clock. "Son, I found my tires damaged this morning, all 4 of them punctured." A pause. When Trevor spoke again, his tone had shifted into concerned sympathy. "Mom, that's terrible." "Probably just some neighborhood kids messing around. You know how they get during spring break." "All 4 tires, Trevor." Each one hit the same way, angled perfectly. A pause stretched. His voice returned, carrying a wounded edge. Are you accusing me of this?" The hurt sounded convincing, but I had heard his lies before, about debts, about investments, about promises to change. "I just wanted to check if you noticed anything unusual when you left last night." "Any strange cars? People hanging around?" "I drove straight home, Mom. Look, I know we argued, but I'd never—" He stopped, then added quickly, "This is vandalism. You should call the police." Should I? What proof did I really have beyond timing and suspicion? His denial sounded smooth, almost believable, but I'd heard that tone before. "I'll just handle it through insurance," I said at last. "Thanks for the concern. Mom, wait, I'm sorry about yesterday, about everything. We both said things we didn't mean. Let's talk later, Trevor. I need to call AAA." The operator promised a tow truck within 45 minutes. I ended the call and stood staring at my crippled car, the weight of my 70 years pressing heavily on me. Had I been wrong about Trevor? His voice on the phone had carried genuine surprise, even sympathy. Maybe it really had been random vandals. Maybe the timing was nothing more than coincidence. But 40 years of experience had trained me to see patterns, and this one pointed straight to a truth I didn't want to face. I picked up my shopping bags and headed back inside. The grocery trip would have to wait. When the mechanic finally arrived, his verdict confirmed my suspicion. All 4 tires had been deliberately punctured, the damage costing nearly $800. Back home with a simple turkey sandwich and yesterday's paper, I tried to focus on the sports section, anything to distract from the gnawing doubt twisting in my gut. The phone rang just as I reached for my coffee mug. Trevor's name lit up the caller ID. "Hi, Mom. How's your day going?" His voice sounded overly cheerful, like sunshine forced through storm clouds. Too bright, too fast. No mention of our tense call about the tires. No reference to the argument from yesterday. "It's been interesting," I answered carefully. "Spent the morning at Morrison's Tire Center." "Oh, right, the vandalism thing. That's rough, but listen, I've got good news. Tomorrow's my birthday, and Meredith planned something special. Just family dinner at 6. Molly will be there and a few close friends. It would mean a lot if you came, Mom." The invitation caught me off guard. After the shouting yesterday and the tire incident this morning, I had expected silence, not cheerfulness. "That's thoughtful of you to invite me," I said cautiously. "Come on, Mom. We don't always agree about money, but we're still family. Molly especially asked if Grandma would be there. She's excited to see you." The mention of my granddaughter stirred something protective deep inside me. Molly had always been the light in our family gatherings, untouched by her parents' endless money troubles. If she wanted me there, how could I refuse? "What should I bring?" I asked. "Just yourself. Meredith's taking care of everything, food, decorations, the whole setup. She's gone all out this year. That explained the expense. Meredith's idea of special usually meant a price tag Trevor couldn't afford. Still, for once, that wasn't my burden. Of course I'll be there. 6 o'clock sharp. Fantastic. And Mom, thank you for not making a scene about yesterday. I was stressed about work and took it out on you." His apology carried a trace of sincerity, a glimpse of the boy he once was. "Water under the bridge, son. We'll talk tomorrow." After hanging up, I sat in the kitchen with a cautious sense of relief. Family dinners had become rare since Trevor married Meredith. She usually packed their calendar with social events, leaving little room for us. But a birthday celebration might offer a chance to mend things. Molly would be there, bright as always, probably eager to share her college stories. With the party ahead, I found myself considering what gift to bring. Nothing extravagant. It might send the wrong message after our argument. Something thoughtful but practical. Perhaps a sturdy set of tools for his projects, or a business book he might actually read. The afternoon stretched on quietly, and for the first time in days, I felt a fragile hope that tomorrow could bring peace. The thought of tomorrow's gathering gave me something better to hold on to than slashed tires and harsh words. A birthday might soften the edges, I told myself. I cleared the lunch dishes and settled in with my laptop, browsing for gift ideas. For the first time in 2 days, I let myself feel genuinely hopeful about my son. The next evening, I stepped out of the taxi and onto Trevor's brick walkway, a neatly wrapped gift tucked under my arm. The air smelled of barbecue and faint laughter drifted from the backyard. Through the front windows, I saw more guests than I had expected for what was supposed to be a family dinner. Trevor appeared at the door before I could even knock, his smile wide and practiced. "Mom, you made it. Come in, come in." The house looked transformed. Where I remembered modest furnishings, now gleamed expensive decor. Crystal glasses sparkled under a chandelier I had never seen before. In the kitchen, a spread of food looked professionally catered. "Happy birthday, son." I handed him the gift, a quality tool set I'd chosen with care. 70 years. Hard to believe, I added softly. "Thanks, Mom." "This means a lot." For just a second, his smile faltered, a shadow passing over his face. "Meredith, Mom's here," Trevor called out. She appeared from the kitchen in an elegant dress that must have cost more than most people's mortgage payments. "Eliza, how wonderful to see you. Let me introduce you to everyone." The living room buzzed with chatter. Young professionals I didn't recognize mingled easily, wine glasses in hand, talking about careers and investments. Premium liquor lined the counter, brands Trevor could never afford on his salary. "Grandma!" Molly's voice cut through the crowd. She rushed over and wrapped me in a hug that felt more genuine than all the polished greetings in the room. "I'm so glad you came." "I wouldn't miss your father's birthday, sweetheart. How's college treating you?" "Finals are next week, but I'm hanging in there. Want me to grab you something to drink? Dad stocked your favorite beer." Trevor appeared at my side with a bottle I instantly recognized, an imported brand I'd once ordered at a steakhouse years ago. "Remember this one, Mom? You picked it out in Portland." I accepted the glass, surprised he'd remembered such a detail. For a moment, I wanted to believe his invitation was sincere, that maybe the tire incident had been nothing more than bad luck. The evening moved along with unexpected warmth. Trevor's friends drew me into their conversations, asking about the construction trade with what seemed like genuine interest. Meredith never let my glass go empty, always appearing with a bright smile and another pour. For a while, the contradictions blurred beneath the glow of laughter and fine wine. "Quite a spread," I remarked during dinner, gesturing at the lavish dishes. "Must have cost a fortune." Trevor waved it off lightly. "Meredith's been saving up for months. She wanted this birthday to feel special." But the math didn't add up. Catering of this scale, the premium liquor, the new furniture, it was thousands of dollars. And Trevor had been begging me for money only days earlier. "Another glass, Eliza?" Meredith appeared with a bottle of Cabernet that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. "This pairs beautifully with the beef." I nodded, feeling the warmth of the alcohol soften my edges. The contradictions of the evening, the extravagance, the sudden generosity, slipped further from focus. Beside me, Molly chatted about her psychology courses, her presence the one reminder of what truly mattered. Trevor rose from his chair, lifting his glass with theatrical flair. To family, to second chances, and to the future. Everyone raised their drinks. The wine was rich, smooth, aged longer than some of Trevor's guests had been alive. I sipped, the warmth settling in, though a small unease tugged at the back of my mind. Trevor kept glancing at his watch, and Meredith's smile never seemed to touch her eyes. The party stretched into its third hour with no hint of winding down. I settled into a new leather armchair, another lavish purchase that hadn't been in the house before. The room swirled with laughter and animated conversations, but my eyes kept drifting to Trevor and Meredith. He checked his watch too often. She sent him subtle glances when she thought I wasn't looking. Something beneath all this celebration felt staged. Trevor appeared at my elbow with another glass. "Mom, how about I show you the renovations upstairs? You'll love the new master suite." "Now? Shouldn't you be with your guests?" I asked, glancing at the lively party around us. "They're fine. Come on, you need to see this." Meredith slid in beside him, her smile sharp. "Yes, Eliza, the new fixtures are exquisite." We spared no expense. That phrase again, no expense spared, coming from people who had been pleading poverty only days earlier. As I shifted to rise from the chair, Molly suddenly appeared at my side. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with something I hadn't seen in her before. Fear. "Grandma," she whispered, clutching my arm, "you need to leave." "Right now." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "What?" "Please," she begged, urgency trembling in her voice. "Just go." Trevor stepped closer, his smile stretched too tight. "Molly, what are you talking about?" Grandma was just about to see the upstairs. "No, she wasn't," Molly shot back, her grip tightening on my arm. "Grandma, please, you have to go home." The desperation in her voice cut through the haze of wine. In 18 years, I had never seen Molly look this terrified. "I think I should listen to my granddaughter," I said firmly, rising to my feet. "It's getting late anyway." "Mom, don't be ridiculous," Trevor snapped, the cheer in his voice cracking. "The party's just getting started. We haven't even cut the cake." "Where are you going, Eliza?" Meredith's tone was sweet on the surface, but the sharpness underneath was unmistakable. Their insistence only made the alarm bells in my head ring louder. When two people worked this hard to keep you in place, it usually meant you needed to leave. "I'm feeling a bit tired," I said evenly, moving toward the front door despite their hovering presence. "Age catching up with me." "Just one more drink," Trevor pressed, his tone turning sharp. "I've saved a special bottle." "Another time, son." I slipped past him, reaching for my coat. Trevor's face tightened, but I didn't stop. The more they insisted, the clearer it became. I had to get out. "Mom? Really?" "Molly's just being dramatic. College stress, you know how it is." Molly let out a sound that was half sob, half plea. When I looked at her, tears brimmed in her eyes. That was all the confirmation I needed. "Thank you for a lovely evening," I said firmly, stepping toward the coat closet. "I'll call you tomorrow." "Tomorrow? But, Mom—" Trevor started, but I was already sliding into my jacket. I moved toward the door, Trevor and Meredith whispering urgently behind me, their words too low to catch but sharp enough to confirm Molly's warning. The night air hit my face like a wake-up call, clearing away the last fog of wine. I stepped onto the porch, pulled out my phone, and called for a taxi. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Molly, her palm pressed to the glass, her expression a mixture of relief and worry. As the taxi headlights rounded the corner, I stepped off the porch. My hands trembled slightly. Whether from the chill or from adrenaline, I couldn't tell. Sliding into the back seat, I glanced once more at the house. Through the window, Molly still stood there, her hand against the glass, a silent plea etched in her eyes. Whatever danger I had escaped tonight, it was real. Streetlights cast moving shadows across the taxi's interior as we pulled away. I fumbled for my phone, my pulse still racing. The driver glanced at me in the mirror, probably wondering why his passenger looked as if she'd fled a crime scene. I dialed Molly. She answered on the first ring, her voice urgent. "Grandma, are you okay? Are you safe?" Her words confirmed what my instincts already screamed. Tonight's escape had been no false alarm. "I'm in a taxi heading home, Molly." "Tell me, what was going on back there? Why did you beg me to leave?" There was a pause, muffled voices in the background, then the sound of a door closing. When she spoke again, her words were hushed, almost a whisper. "I overheard Mom and Dad yesterday. They had a plan for tonight, something about getting you drunk and making you sign papers that would transfer your company to Dad." "What kind of plan?" I pressed, my grip tightening on the phone. "They had lawyers waiting upstairs," Molly whispered. "Mom kept checking the time, making sure you were drinking enough. Dad kept trying to get you alone so you'd sign." The truth hit me with brutal clarity. The party, the endless wine, their insistence, it had all been a trap. "Are you certain about this, Molly?" My voice trembled despite myself. "I heard enough," she said quickly. "They planned it right after your fight on Tuesday. Mom said you were being selfish, keeping all the money while Dad needed it for his deals. She was sure that once you were drunk, you'd sign anything. Their cruelty stung almost as much as the betrayal itself. They had reduced me to a mark, a prize to be taken." "How much did you overhear?" I asked. "Enough to know they were counting on the alcohol. Mom even said older people get confused when they drink, that you wouldn't notice what you were signing." The words cut deep. My own son and his wife had discussed me as if I were nothing more than a weak target, easy to exploit. "Molly, listen to me," I said, steadying my voice. "You must promise not to tell them you warned me." "They already asked," she whispered back. "Dad wanted to know why I told you to leave." I said it was just because the neighborhood gets dangerous late at night. Then I went straight to my room. "They don't suspect I know anything." "Good," I replied. "Keep it that way. I'll deal with this, but you stay safe." "But what if they try again?" Molly's voice wavered. Mom sounded so confident, like she knew it would work. "You saved me tonight, Molly," I told her. "I'm proud of the woman you're becoming. Whatever they plan next, I'll be ready." As the taxi turned onto Maple Street, my house came into view. Porch lights glowed calmly, as though the world outside hadn't shifted. "I love you, Grandma." "I love you too, sweetheart. And remember, if you ever need anything, call me." The taxi slowed to a stop in front of my house. As I fumbled for my keys with unsteady hands, one thought echoed in my mind. This betrayal would not go unanswered. As I stood in my driveway, keys clutched in my hand, the familiar shape of home felt altered, no longer just a refuge, but a fortress under siege. "Evening, Eliza." "Out late tonight?" It was Mrs. Henderson, my neighbor, calling across the fence. She sat on her porch in her wicker chair, wrapped in a light shawl against the spring air, just as she had for years. "Good evening, Dorothy," I answered, forcing calm. "Just came from Trevor's." "I see you got the car fixed. Those new tires look good." My hand froze halfway to the lock. "How did you know about the tires?" Dorothy hesitated, rocking gently in her chair. Then she rose and stepped closer to the porch rail so we could speak without raising our voices. "I wasn't sure if I should mention it," Dorothy said quietly, "but I saw Trevor near your car Tuesday night around 9:30. He walked around it, something in his hand. Then he crouched by each tire, like he was doing something." Her words sent a chill racing down my spine. Not vandals, not coincidence. My own son, caught in the act. "Are you certain it was Trevor, Dorothy?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Eliza, I've known that boy since he was little. It was him. I even heard raised voices from your house earlier that evening, Sound carries on quiet nights. Her account left no room for doubt. The sabotage hadn't been random mischief. It was deliberate revenge, carried out by my own son. He didn't see me, Dorothy continued. I keep my porch light off at night. It's easier to see the stars. He thought no one was watching. Her words painted the scene vividly. Trevor circling my car, striking each tire with practiced malice. It wasn't desperation anymore. It was calculation. I wasn't sure whether to tell you, Dorothy admitted. Family matters are delicate. But when I saw those brand new tires today, I knew you deserved the truth. First, the trap at the birthday party. Now this. Trevor's campaign against me was no accident. He was dismantling my life piece by piece. Let's keep this between us for now, I told Dorothy, masking the storm inside me with a steady tone. Of course, she nodded, but that boy needs to learn respect. You've worked too hard to have him tear it down out of spite. Her words carried the weight of years. She had watched Trevor grow from a promising child into a bitter man. Thank you for telling me, Dorothy, I said at last. It means more than you know. She gave a small, firm nod. If you ever need someone to stand by what I saw, I won't hesitate. Her loyalty touched me, but as I turned back toward my door, one truth settled heavily in my chest. My son's betrayal was no longer just reckless. It was deliberate war. Inside, I switched on every light, flooding the rooms with brightness. 40 years of honest work surrounded me. Photographs, contracts, ledgers, every piece of a life built with sacrifice. And now, Trevor had tried to steal it all with lies and malice. The systematic way he struck, first the finances, then the car, then the trap at the party, made one thing clear. My son had declared war, and I would answer. The pattern was undeniable: financial manipulation, property damage, then the elaborate birthday trap. It wasn't desperation. It was a calculated campaign. I stood in the living room, surrounded by everything Trevor had tried to dismantle, and felt the steel harden inside me. If he wanted war, I would fight with the sharpest weapon I had: truth. Dawn broke gray and heavy, matching the resolve that had settled in me overnight. Sleep had come only in fragments, my mind cataloging Trevor's betrayals and mapping out his weak points. At 7 sharp, I sat at the kitchen table with a steaming cup of coffee and a legal pad. The shock of last night had hardened into something far stronger: clarity and a plan. I moved into my study and opened the filing cabinet. Trevor's history lay there in manila folders, every failed venture preserved like evidence in a courtroom. The Miami condos, the cryptocurrency scam, the doomed food truck, all carefully documented. But this time, I wasn't just reviewing old wounds. I was turning his failures into ammunition. Miami's $75,000 gone, the $50,000 lost to mining equipment that never existed, $30,000 sunk into a food truck with a convicted felon, each folder a disaster, each page a reminder. And none of it was just my money. Other investors had been burned too. Their trust in Trevor had cost them dearly. Marcus lost $25,000 in Miami. David put $35,000 into the mining scheme. Jennifer sank $20,000 into the food truck disaster. All of them had trusted Trevor because of me, because my name once meant something in this town. Now that trust would be the thread I'd pull. I spread the folders across my desk, arranging them by date and disaster. Trevor had made 3 fatal miscalculations. He underestimated my business ties. He forgot I kept records of every deal he touched. And worst of all, he believed blood alone would shield him from consequences. He was wrong. $75,000 lost in Miami when the developer fled. $50,000 evaporated on mining equipment that never arrived. $30,000 buried in a food truck doomed from the start. And with each failure, Trevor had pulled others down with him, people who trusted my family name. This time, I wouldn't let silence protect him. Marcus was a Chamber of Commerce leader. David chaired the local investment circle. Jennifer worked in financial services, where reputation was everything. Each of them had the reach to spread the truth quickly. All I had to do was hand them the facts, and Trevor's own history would speak louder than any accusation. I pulled out my old contact list, names and numbers neatly kept from decades in business. Anonymous tips would need precision, documents copied, evidence laid out clearly, and no trace leading back to me. In construction, I'd learned that reputation could be demolished with one solid strike. Now that same lesson would guide me. Phase 1 was simple: expose Trevor's trail of failures to the very people he had deceived. Once they compared notes, the pattern would be impossible to ignore. Phase 2 would target Meredith. Her polished image at Pinnacle Financial made her vulnerable, and Phase 3 would ensure that together they could never attempt something like this again. I created a new anonymous email account, then prepared the documents. Courier delivery would keep my hands clean, no fingerprints, no questions. Timing mattered. Friday afternoon would give the recipients the weekend to study the evidence, and by Monday, the business community would already be buzzing. By early afternoon, my study looked like a war room, files spread across the desk, envelopes labeled and ready. Each one held enough evidence to end Trevor's credibility for good. I had arranged them by investor: Marcus, David, Jennifer, each package a carefully aimed strike. Marcus's envelope held copies of the Miami condo contract, bank transfers, and emails proving Trevor knew the developer was collapsing while he still collected money. David's packet contained the mining scheme, payment records, and Trevor's own admission that the supplier looked questionable. Jennifer's file revealed the food truck deal, complete with the partner's embezzlement record Trevor had ignored. Each packet carried a brief cover note: information for your consideration regarding Trevor Thornton's business practices. Review the attached documents and draw your own conclusions. No accusations, no embellishment, just facts, dates, and numbers that spoke louder than any words I could add. I called the courier service: cash payment, anonymous delivery. They asked no questions, just promised same-day drop-offs. By evening, 3 of the most connected people in town would be holding Trevor's history in their hands. Friday timing was perfect. The weekend would give them hours to read, compare, and talk. By Monday, his name would already be poison. By 2:30 p.m., the envelopes had left my house. I pictured them moving through the city in plain courier bags, heading straight to the hands of people Trevor had once deceived. 3 strikes, each one carrying proof sharper than any accusation. By nightfall, the truth would already be spreading, and there was no pulling it back. Marcus controlled influence at the Chamber of Commerce. David shaped decisions in the local investment group. Jennifer's firm advised half the town's entrepreneurs. Trevor had chosen the wrong people to cheat and the wrong mother to betray. By the time my phone rang again, I knew the first ripple had already started. Trevor's name flashed on the caller ID again. I let it ring. Whatever excuses he had could wait. My work was already in motion. Minutes later, the phone lit up with another number I didn't recognize. This time I answered, half expecting it to be one of the investors, but I kept my silence. Let the evidence do the talking. "Let me check my schedule and get back to you," I told Trevor flatly before hanging up. He didn't know that by then the envelopes were already in transit. At 3:15, they'd been on the road for 45 minutes. By 6, 3 influential figures would be holding proof of his lies in their hands. All I had to do was wait. Another unknown number appeared on my screen. I ignored it. Most likely, Marcus or David confirming what they'd received. But anonymity was part of the plan. I didn't need to explain. I didn't need to persuade. The documents spoke on their own, and soon Trevor's reputation would collapse under their weight. Monday morning came with confirmation. The phone rang 6 times before 8 o'clock. Business contacts, their voices cautious, probing. Marcus had already spoken with David on Sunday. David had reached out to Jennifer. By dawn, the 3 of them had connected the dots. Trevor's record was exposed, his deceptions laid bare. Phase 1 was a success. Trevor called again, this time his voice sharp with panic. "Mom, something's happening." "People are asking questions, big questions. What did you do?" I let him rant, every word dripping with fear. For years I had endured his anger, his accusations, his pleas. Now, hearing panic in his voice felt like justice finally tipping in my favor. I turned my attention to Meredith. If Trevor was the reckless gambler, she was the calculating mastermind. Her professional image at Pinnacle Financial made her vulnerable, and her expensive tastes suggested sources of income she hadn't disclosed. I began discreet inquiries, carefully noting patterns, timing, and connections. The puzzle pieces were falling into place. Multiple sources confirmed Meredith's weekday meetings at the Marriott Lounge, always with the same sharply dressed man. Married, but unusually attentive. Her spending patterns didn't match Trevor's supposed struggles. Either she had secret income, or he had lied. Either way, it worked in my favor. Each inquiry revealed more. Clients and colleagues described lengthy conversations over expensive wine, odd hours that didn't match her responsibilities. Everything pointed to a woman who had overreached, someone whose professional ethics could be questioned if handled correctly. I documented it all carefully, evidence to expose both conspirators. Every discovery about Meredith's spending, every hidden luxury purchase, strengthened my resolve. Trevor had underestimated me, but now I held the knowledge and the timing to ensure neither of them could strike again without consequence. My plan was falling into place, and patience was my ally. Whether Trevor had lied about their finances or Meredith had secret income, it didn't matter. Both possibilities served my purpose. Every fact, every detail would be weaponized carefully. I drafted a professional ethics complaint to Pinnacle Financial, documenting the conflict of interest and their attempt to exploit elderly clients for personal gain. I attached documentation of the birthday party, expenses, catering, alcohol, decorations, all pointing to a lifestyle far beyond their claimed financial struggles. The anonymous package went out Monday afternoon, each carefully crafted note urging the recipient to investigate. Meredith's own missteps would soon come to light. I included receipts, invoices, and photographs to leave no doubt. Each item was evidence of intentional deception and manipulation. By the time Monday arrived, Pinnacle Financial would begin an internal investigation into Meredith's conduct, and the full scope of their betrayal would start to unravel. By Tuesday morning, the internal investigation had already begun. My phone rang again. Different numbers this time. Trevor growing desperate, calling from various phones. I let each one ring. Every panic-stricken call confirmed the plan was working. Desperation led to mistakes, and mistakes created opportunities. Trevor and Meredith had underestimated me. Every frantic call, every pleading tone only made their undoing more certain. My methodical approach ensured that by the time they arrived at my door, the truth was already in motion, and it was unstoppable. Car doors slammed and footsteps pounded the front walkway. Trevor and Meredith had arrived together, tension radiating off them. Cornered and desperate, their usual confidence had vanished. The two of them stood at my porch, faces flushed with anger and panic. "We need to talk," Trevor said, pushing past me into the house. "Now," Meredith added, following him into the living room. Her polished composure cracked, revealing raw anger beneath. I gestured toward the couch, my tone calm but firm. "I've been expecting this conversation. You destroyed my business relationships with those anonymous letters. Marcus, David, and Jennifer all received the same information," Trevor snapped, still standing. "My employer received a complaint yesterday," Meredith added, her voice controlled but tense. "HR is investigating my conduct." I settled into my leather armchair, the same one where this entire conflict had begun. These are facts, not accusations. Investors deserve to know the truth. "Someone sent detailed information about our family financial planning," Trevor said, his voice rising. I opened the folder I had prepared. Every act of betrayal, the lawyer trap at the birthday, the tire vandalism, was documented with dates, receipts, and witness statements. I laid the evidence on the table, my voice calm but slicing through the tension. I am simply sharing the truth. If the truth damages your reputation, perhaps the problem lies with your actions, not my disclosure, I said evenly. Meredith leaned forward, her composure cracking. You're destroying my career over a family disagreement. I reached for another folder. You plan to steal 40 years of my work through fraud and manipulation. I'm merely presenting the facts. You plan to steal 40 years of my work, I continued, opening the next folder. Molly told me about the lawyers waiting upstairs at your birthday party. Mrs. Henderson saw Trevor puncture my tires. This isn't desperation. It's premeditated theft. The color drained from both their faces as the full scope of their actions became undeniable. I detailed each act. Tuesday's argument over money, Wednesday's tire vandalism, Thursday's elaborate trap with lawyers and documents meant to transfer my company. Trevor's defiance crumbled. Dad, you don't understand the pressure we're under, he said weakly. I understand perfectly, I interrupted. You chose to steal rather than earn. Meredith orchestrated fraud using her professional knowledge. This is still family? Every consequence you're facing now is earned through your own choices, I said firmly. Trevor slumped into the couch, finally grasping the full weight of his defeat. Meredith remained rigid, calculating whether any damage control was possible. The investors will never trust you again, Trevor. Your reputation is finished. Meredith, your professional ethics investigation will likely end your career. This is still family? Meredith protested weakly. You stopped being family the moment you planned to rob me, I replied. Every consequence, every shattered trust, was the result of their own choices. Trevor slumped, understanding the completeness of his defeat, while Meredith tried in vain to calculate a way out. The investors will never trust you again, Trevor, I said. Your business reputation is finished. Meredith, your professional ethics investigation will likely end your career. Both of them left without another word, walking to their car with the defeated posture of people who had gambled everything and lost. I stood, signaling the conversation was over. You declared war on me through systematic betrayal. I responded with systematic truth. Justice isn't revenge, it's accountability. Molly's future remained secure. Unlike her parents, she had chosen to protect family instead of exploiting it. I watched from the porch as their car disappeared into the night, taillights fading around the corner. 40 years of honest work remained protected in the hands of the right people. The deceit, the lies, and the schemes of Trevor and Meredith had failed. If you liked this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box to the left. Thank you for watching.